up trash and calling it treasure. I'm picking up trash and calling it treasure.
Kickin Country 105.3, Lee Richey keeping you company on this Thursday. And you've been hearing our Kickin' Premier song all day long. It's a brand new single from Mary Heather Hickman. It's called Treasure. And I am delighted to have her joining us. Hey, Mary Heather.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. Excited.
Do I call you Mary or Mary Heather or MHH or
yeah. So I go by Mary Heather. I'm from Arkansas, so it's a good old Southern double name. But a lot of my close friends call me MH. So.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah, you can call me MH. Absolutely.
So you were like born in Arkansas, but you grew up kind of in Texas. So
yes.
Are you like a Texan or an Arkansan?
I always say I'm kind of like 50-50 because I was born in Southern Arkansas in a town called El Dorado. I moved to Texas when I was 4 and grew up like right outside of Dallas in Frisco. But both my parents are also from Arkansas. Both sets of my grandparents still live there. So all throughout like my childhood, we were kind of traveling back and forth to Arkansas. And then when I went to college, I went to University of Arkansas in Fayetteville. So when I made the move to Nashville, it was from Arkansas.
So you don't know where
I
you're
always
from.
really know. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I'm an Arkansan or a Texan. So I just say I'm both.
See, you already messed me up because I would have said El Dorado, but you said El Dorado.
Yeah, and it's funny. So they just built like a new amphitheater. Well, not just built it; it's been built for like the past 5 years. But they built an amphitheater, and so they'll have big acts like come in, like Brad Paisley or Hank Jr. or whatever. And I've gotten to play there a couple of times too, which is really cool. But in the elevator that goes like right up to the stage, it says like all over, it's like El Dorado, like tornado, because people get very offended if you say El Dorado. Like,
oh, that's awesome.
They're not about it. Yeah.
If there's ever an artist that you don't like, just change that,
Yeah, just be like El Dorado, like how you think it'd be pronounced. Oh yeah. It would not go over well.
Let's talk about Treasure and about your career and how you got from El Dorado to
El Dorado. Yes.
And first off, it's a great song, Treasure. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah. So talk about how I got to Nashville. Is that what you said? I'm sorry.
Well, it's okay. No points off for not paying attention.
Okay.
I was a little confusing. It's okay. First off, singing. Is it something you've always done? I mean, since you were a little tiny kid or what?
Yeah. I can, as far as I can remember, like when people used to ask me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I would say a singer. So I used to, when I was like really little, I would like, get up on the fireplace and like sing in front of my family at Christmas parties and things like that.
And there were no actual fires in the fireplace.
Well, maybe, I don't know. I was kind of a wild child, so it's possible.
That girl's on fire.
Yeah. And then, I started, I think my parents kind of like noticed that I had some talent. They always say when I was in a talent show in elementary school, and I was like one of the only kids that got up and like remembered all the words and was like, mostly on key. So that was like, I think for my parents, it was like when they were able to see me in like an environment with other people that were singing, that they were like, because they always were like, oh, she likes singing, but I don't think they really knew that I had a good voice.
Well,
or they didn't think much of it.
Just looking at that for a second, I mean, that was pretty astute of them to see that, because, whether you've got the talent or not, which you do, but at that age, just being able to do that in that environment. I mean,
that's kind of what they said too. Yeah, just being able to like get up there and like actually, sing the song the whole way through. And I used to sing to like karaoke track, so there wasn't any like words with it. Like I didn't want the other person's voice in there. I wanted it to be just me. So after that, they kind of realized that maybe this is something that I actually maybe had a shot at. So they started taking me to little Opries. Like in Texas, there's smaller versions in like small towns of like the Grand Ole Opry, where they put on a show every Saturday night and have several different guests. So when I'm like 9 and 10 years old, I'm just doing the little Opry circuit around Texas.
Now, how were you with this? Is this something you wanted to do? Were you having a good time?
Oh yeah. Yeah. My parents, honestly, I mean, like they're very supportive of me doing music and things, but I never felt that they were pushing me into it. In fact, I would say it was quite the opposite. Like I was begging my mom. I would go on the internet and like look and be like, Mom, they're having an audition for this one. Like I want to go. And, you know, like there's a couple big Opries in Texas at the time. One of them was called Johnny Highs, which is kind of like a renowned Opry in Texas. And it's televised and things like that. And I remember like begging my mom. I was like, Mom, I heard on the radio they're doing an audition for Johnny Highs. Like, please take me. So it was definitely me that was kind of like leading the way. So I started doing that, and then just kind of continued to sing and perform as I was growing up. And then also like my parents are big fans of country music as well. They're more like, they like traditional country, Johnny Cash, Loretta Lynn, that kind of stuff. And my dad had always talked to me about the importance of writing your own music and having your own things to say. So from a very young age as well, I used to write my own songs. Like I would have my little notebook, and, you know, at the time, I think I was writing about like my dog or, you know, playing outside or something, like, you know, things like that. But I always can, as far back as I can remember. And even my mom has saved like a lot of my notebooks from that age where I have written my own songs.
Do you think Taylor Swift had a lot to do with inspiring young singers and songwriters since she was writing at that age?
Yeah, I think so too. It was something like my dad had always talked to me about, just because like also my dad's dad he never like moved to Nashville or anything, but he was always like writing songs and keeping notebooks of things. So I think it kind of like runs in the family, I guess, in that way. But yeah, I do remember in middle school when Taylor Swift was kind of like starting to come onto the scene. Just, I think one thing that was cool for me when she started getting big was that I'd always been doing country music, and like none of my friends thought that was cool in like any way. They were, in fact, thought I was pretty lame for like getting up and singing a Reba song in the talent show, which like
what you're telling me is you were country when country wasn't cool.
I guess so. Yeah. Yeah. I should have sang that song in the talent show.
I know, right?
But yeah, when Taylor Swift kind of came onto the country scene, I think it made it like a little cooler for me at the time to be like, yeah, I write my own songs and I like singing country music. And she's always inspired me as well, just because I do think she's a very talented writer, and she's definitely somebody I looked up to when I was younger. So.
We're talking to Mary Heather Hickman. The song is Treasure. It's our Kickin' premiere song all day long today. If you haven't heard it yet, it's playing every 2 hours, right up until midnight. Let's move from competitions when you're a kid to actually saying, I'm going to move to Nashville and do this for a living. How did that come about?
Oh man. So when I was graduating from high school, I had got accepted into University of Arkansas, and I was planning on going there and pursuing a broadcast journalism degree. I think maybe because journalism is also like a form of writing, and you can be creative in some ways in that. Sure. So that was another thing that I really liked. And that was totally my plan. I was like, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to do the news and, work in or do like sports broadcasting or something like that. And then somebody told me that they were doing an audition for the TV show The Voice in Austin, and they were doing open calls. And part of me just like decided to go for that. And I auditioned. I got casted onto the show for season 6. Spent a good month or so out in Los Angeles, kind of doing all the filming and things like that, being around a lot of other people that lived in Nashville or LA or New York and were pursuing music full time. And I ended up not getting aired on the show at all. I did get to audition. The only person that had a spot was Shakira. A little bit of a stretch for a country artist for sure. So I didn't make it, but I think it kind of like lit a fire in me of realizing that, hey, can be something that's more than just a hobby. Like there are people that go out and they make it, and they like pursue music full time. So I stayed in college. I did get a degree. I switched my degree to communication because broadcast journalism took a lot of my time. And when I was in college, I actually started a band called Mary Heather and the Sinners.
What kind of crowd does Mary Heather and the Sinners attract?
Well, we were country. We still did country. We did my original songs and we also did covers.
Okay.
So it was honestly just a lot of like other college kids that were trying to go out and have fun at the bars. So, because that's mainly where we played, was the bar street in Fayetteville is called Dixon Street. And I used to there's several bars where they have live music. So I used to just like Thursday through Sunday.
Is it like Lower Broadway in Nashville, or
basically like a smaller version of that, but the same idea for sure. Definitely the most rowdy area of Fayetteville for sure.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Treasure.
Absolutely.
It's a great song. It's got a lot of spunk. It's picking up trash and calling it treasure.
Yeah.
Very good hook right there.
Thank you. So I wrote this song with my good friend and co-writer Stephanie Joyce. And basically we were just kind of like, we were in my parents built like a little cabin in southern Arkansas, and we had gone down there just kind of get away from Nashville and take a break. And I went through a breakup at the beginning of 2020 that was like a pretty serious breakup, and my friend Stephanie was asking me if she thought that I was ready to date again. And I made some sort of like self-deprecating joke of like, I don't think I can be trusted. Like I always like pick people that don't work out, or, you know, things like that. And then we kind of just through like girl talk, there also might have been a little bit of drinking involved.
I was going to say,
yeah. If you're having some margaritas, we just started like talking more about that and started like spitting out these lines. Like, if he looks like he's bad news, then like that's the guy for me type thing. And both of us were just kind of like trying to one up each other and trying to come up with like the most ridiculous like qualities that would attract you to a guy that is clearly like no good. And yeah, then we had those verses. And then when it came time to figure out what the hook of the song was going to be, I think I had said something about like, you know, finding trash and like calling it treasure or something. And then just through more discussion of that, we came up with the picking up trash and calling it treasure, and picking up the tab when he does, you know, just kind of repeating that same phrase. But that's how the song came about. Just some good old girl talk and margaritas.
Folks that are hearing it and really liking it, can they get a copy?
Yeah, absolutely. It's available on like all of the places you can listen to music: Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, YouTube, everything like that. And then hopefully when I start being able to play more live shows, we'll make some physical CDs that we can give away too.
Now, my copy has a flaw in it. I don't know. They sent me an MP3, but it's something like and then I don't hear the rest of the word. And then somebody said, she's cursing. I said, no, she looks too sweet for that.
No, they would be right. Despite my dad, I remember when I first played him the song before it was recorded or anything, he's like, do you have to cuss in the song? Is that really like, is that necessary? And I said, yeah, Dad, it's the only thing that
you have to.
It makes sense, you know, but for the radio, we did bleep it out. So.
It's
but if people want the full version, it's you can find the cuss word and all on Spotify and things like that.
So you know that's what everybody's going to download now. They're going to go for that version.
Absolutely.
That version. Living in Nashville can be an interesting thing, I'm sure. Who do some name dropping? Who have you run into in like the most unlikely of places?
Oh man, I'm like, my friends give me a hard time because I'm probably one of the worst. Like, I usually don't recognize famous people. I don't know what that, like, I guess I'm kind of like in my own world and I just don't even notice. But one story I will tell you that happened to me that was pretty funny was about 3 years ago when I first moved to Nashville. I had a friend that was visiting from Austin, and he's been in the music business for quite a while. And he was like, I want to take you, I think it was CMA Fest was like when he came into town. He was like, I want to take you out to meet some people, introduce you to some of my Nashville friends. Cause it was right when I moved here. I didn't know anyone. I was like, that sounds great. So he takes me out to this bar, and it's CMA Fest, so it's really, really crowded. There's a lot of people. I mean, this is pre-pandemic. And this guy comes up to me and he's talking to me and he's super nice. And I think he even was like, oh, let's go to the bar and get a drink or, whatever. Just super nice guy. We were talking and he told me his name was Darius and we're just talking. And then I didn't think anything of it, which honestly, I'm kind of glad I didn't because I probably would have been having a little bit of an internal freak out. But yeah, then he walks away and then somebody else comes up and talks to me and they're like, yeah, I play like drums for Darius Rucker. And I was like, wait, that was Darius Rucker that I was just talking to? It was like one of those things of like, clearly I know who Darius Rucker is, but I think my head just could not wrap around the fact that like Darius Rucker would be like in a Nashville bar and talking to me. Like it just like didn't click. But then after I knew it was him, it was like so obvious and I felt like very dumb.
Okay, how many people do you think are named Darius to begin with? Exactly.
I don't know. It was like one of those things I was just like, that's a classic like Mary Heather thing to do. My friends would tell you they would not be surprised at all.
We've run into, we were in Green Hills Mall. My wife and I were walking around and there's a guy just standing there talking to somebody. And my wife's like, I think that's Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin.
Oh my God.
And of course it was Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin. But we've run into so many people and my son went to Belmont. So he was,
very nice. Yeah.
He was in CVS behind Kelly Clarkson in line and just weird stuff like that. But it's totally normal in Nashville.
Oh yeah. You run into a ton of people. And I've also like worked restaurant jobs a lot of the time that I've worked or that I've lived here in Nashville. And I've served like a lot of people. I had Vince Gill at my table. I had, Shay Mooney from Dan and Shay. So like I've met a lot of people, but usually somebody has to like tell me who it is.
So Vince Gill, I've got to imagine he ordered dessert.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Super nice. I always try to like when people are going out to eat and I'm like their server, even though some of the people that I've been such huge fans of, I try to play it cool because I know, I don't want to get fired from my job from like being like, oh my God, can I get a picture with you? Which is what I want to do. But
so like in 2-3 years time, when you're having dinner and the waitress comes over and you can tell she's all starstruck, how are you going to handle that?
I would be like, come in, let's like get a picture. Yeah, I've been exactly where you are. So I would definitely, I would hope that I would never be weird about any fan.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. I mean, I'm sure it's easier said than done, but I do think, you have to appreciate the people that support your music, and that's like what is giving you a career. So I hope that I will keep that throughout the rest of my career. But.
And country music artists too, I think in particular are so welcoming, I think, and open to their fans and people. I mean, working in radio, because I've worked in other genres, but I've totally had that experience with them. So
I have too. I think I've had the blessing, I guess, to open for quite a few big names in country music, and all of them have been so gracious and so kind and given me great advice. So yeah, I think I would agree. I think the genre just lends itself to very genuine, kind people. So.
Awesome. We're talking to Mary Heather Hickman. Our Kickin' premiere song is Treasure All Day Long. I've got to assume you've got some more songs that you're working on for an album or an EP.
Yeah, I've recorded about 6 more songs that I'll be releasing throughout the rest of this year and into next year. And then the plan is to put out an album with those songs as well as some extras that people haven't heard before. But the next song that I'm putting out, don't have a release date for it yet. It's called Washita River, and it's a story song. It's from somebody else's perspective. That's not my own. So it's a little bit different than Treasure, but still a cool song that I'm super excited about. So
I'm excited to hear it and more from you. Good luck with everything. And thank you so much for taking time to talk to us. And if things ever get back to normal, come see us in New York.
I would love to. I'm hoping someday I can do the whole radio tour thing in person and get to meet everybody in real life. Although it's good to meet people this way too. But.
Exactly. Mary Heather Hickman is our guest. Thank you so much. More music on the way. It's Kickin' Country 105.3.